Today what I want to do is give a demonstration on how to replace an existing commercial steel door and frame. Here's the door we're going to replace right here. It's basically it's a standard 3070 steel door, 18 gauge. Has a panic bar on it. It also has spring hinges on it, but they're not operating anymore. That's one of the reasons why we're replacing it. Plus, we got some rust down here. The bottom channel's rusted out. And when the door is closed, the panic bar is binding on the inside, making it hard to exit. Also, the existing weather strip is worn out, and the seal on the threshold down at the bottom here is no longer working properly. Alright, the first thing we want to do is get some measurements so that we know what size door to replace this with. So let's get some measurements here. First we'll measure the width of a 35 3/4. 83 1/8. That's a typical 3070 door. The width is always going to be a 1/4 inch undersized to allow for your clearances for normal operation. Plus you're going to have a 3/4 inch gap down here at the bottom to allow for your threshold, and an 1/8 inch gap up at the top to clear the header. Okay, being as we're going to replace this jamb, let's get a dimension on the masonry opening. Start down here at the bottom. We've got a little over 40 inches, which is good. You need 40 inches to get the frame in. 40 1/8 there. .40 inches there. It gets a little bit tight at the top, but it's nothing unusual. Now let's get the height, the overall height on the opening. Alright, we have almost 89 inches on the hinge side and 89 on the lock side. Now the only thing different about this frame, normally you'd have a 2-inch header going across the top here, but in this case we have a 4-inch header. Plus there's even a little bit more. They filled in at the top about 7/8 of an inch with mortar. Let's talk a little bit about how you determine the hand on the door. We always determine the hand by standing on the outside of the door, looking at it. If your hinges are on the right-hand side, door swinging out like this one, that's called a right-hand reverse bevel. Now if the hinges were on the inside of the door on the right-hand side and swinging in, that's called a right-hand door. And it would be just the opposite. If the hinges were on the left-hand side here on the outside, it would be called a left-hand reverse bevel. If they were on the inside swinging in, it would be called a left-hand door. Okay, let's get the measurements on the width of the frame that we're replacing. In this case, it's a standard 5 3/4 frame. Now that we got the door ordered and everything's on the site, first thing we're gonna do is start removing the door, the threshold, the frame. So the first thing we'll do is disconnect the alarm system here. When you remove your contact, make sure you remove the contact on the door too, and put it in a safe place so that nothing gets displaced. Okay, the next thing you want to do is remove the door from the frame. And here, in this case, we're dealing with spring. The only way to get the door off is to unscrew it from the frame. These screws are all painted over. Some of them are stripped out. So the best way to do it is just take a big Phillips hammer or Phillips screwdriver and tap each screw head to break it loose. Okay, now that once you get all the screws broken loose, just take your screw gun and see how many you can get out. No problem. Problem right there. The head's so stripped out that you can't really get a good bite on it. So we're going to have to drill that one out. Just take a number 7 drill or a 1/4 inch drill and drill the head out. Hang on to this door, Sean. Okay, it's all yours. Now you want to remove the threshold. There's no use trying to get the screws unscrewed because they're usually all rusted and stripped out. Just take a pry bar and pry it up. Okay, now we're ready to remove the frame. And what I like to do is take a hammer, a small sledgehammer, and tap all around the frame across the header. And what that does is it breaks the concrete loose that's inside the frame. It breaks it away from your masonry wall here. And that helps whenever you're pulling the frame out. Most of the concrete will stay inside the frame instead of sticking to the brick. So go ahead, Sean. This is my son, Sean. He's my helper. He does all the dirty work. Okay, now that we worked our way around the frame, breaking loose the concrete inside it, we're ready to remove the frame. So what you want to do is start down here at the bottom corner. Take an opening, and then come in the inside. Also, I have to remove the header. But be careful because it's full of cement. Really heavy. Okay, once once the frame is removed, you have to remove all this existing concrete to make room for the new frame. So it all has to come out so it doesn't interfere with the installing the frame. So this is the best way to do it right here. Okay, along with removing all the excess mortar, you want to remove your masonry anchors. So you take a die grinder and grind them off. Most of the mortar is removed and all the existing anchors are taken out, I like to go over it with a masonry grinder to clean that opening out so it's nice and smooth. Alright, you see this build-up of cement right here? It's higher than the actual step here. So this, you have to have this even with the step. Because what that does is it jacks your frame up and throws your opening off. So you gotta, this has to be flat at the bottom. There's a little pocket down here in each corner so that when you fill the frame up with mortar, it drops down in that pocket and it helps secure the frame that much better. Okay, now we're ready to install the frame. I want to show you the anchoring system. What I like to do is I like to take a piece of 2-inch metal, 2-inch by 1/8 inch thick, and weld it across the back of the frame, a 3/4 inch hole in it. And then on the stop side, drill an 1 3/4 inch hole. And this allows you to go through, stop on the frame, right through this hole, and into your block. After you drill a 1/4 inch hole in your block, you use this Tapcon screw. Okay, now that we have the opening cleaned out, you got the frame slid in place. You want to check and see, make sure everything's nice and level. Just go there. Check your header. Perfect. And another thing I like to do, I like to just set the threshold in there, make sure we have a full 36 inches down here. Okay, we're good there too. Okay, what you want to do is start at the top hole and drill your 1/4 inch hole for your Tapcon. Okay, what you want to do is take your Tapcon with a washer on it. Take your screw gun, put it right in that hole, right in that 1/4 inch hole. Run it in there nice and tight. Okay, now you want to go down to your second hole and make sure you're still nice and level. And then go ahead and drill your next 1/4 inch hole. And then you install your second Tapcon.